Hi, friends. Chris Kelly here. Um, Late in the week, time to get stats out and just talk a little bit about what's going on in the market. And I'm probably going to conclude just a little bit about value. It's something I think I'm going to talk about maybe over the next couple of weeks, a little bit here and a little bit there. So I'll start off. I'll end today with starting off on it. So anyway, that said, let's break out into stats. Let me minimize this screen. You know what? I've got the last week's stats up on a screen next to me. You know what? Listing inventory is starting to do this. Again, we're certainly not where we were inventory wise, nor are we where we were pending sales wise. So, I keep saying that everything is less in the actual quantity of homes available and the quantity of homes going pending and the quantity of homes closing. But, inventory, when we talk about there's 3 months of inventory in the market or whatever it is, that is purely a velocity measurement. And so the market's moving at a great clip. Like I said, last week, the median days on the market was 8. This week it's 12. It's still pretty darn low, I guess is the point, which means the markets, the things that are selling are moving at a pretty good rate. Median and average sales price continue to come up. So this whole notion that I'm waiting for pricing to come down, guess what? It's going in the other direction. What would cause that to change? Significant changes in the interest rate. And that isn't likely to happen. I put it that way carefully on purpose. It isn't likely to happen. Rates have come up a little bit. Let's see, I don't think we really need much more on this chart other than to say that, we're starting to get a little bit of inventory, but it's pending or going pending at a rate that's pretty consistent with inventory rising. I just checked, interest rates today are in the mid 6s for conventional and the high 5s for FHA money. So rates have come up a bit in the last couple of weeks, and they'll go back down again. I mean, this is that whole pause and people will rush in and people will pause in the market. Why? Because interest rates are going to slowly and fairly mildly capitulate, moving up and down. So is that enough to cause a pause in the market? Not according to the numbers. More keeps happening. More properties going on the market. More people are trying to move. Well, some of that's just cyclical, right? I mean, it's springtime. People start asking, hey, what if we're thinking about ... We're thinking about moving, whatever that is. So, and here's the other piece of this where interest rates are concerned. I'll attach an article. If you're getting this by email or through Facebook, I'll attach an article that, or link an article that talks about U.S. inflation slows to 5% in March, lowest in 2 years. What is going to make interest rates ultimately continue coming down? Inflation continuing to come down. Federal Reserve has said that it's got it in their mind that interest rates that inflation rather needs to be at 2%. Okay, they're going to keep doing things that make that happen. Or when they feel like we're on that trajectory, they'll stop doing things. They'll stop pulling the levers. And those levers are borrowing rates, which affect mortgage rates. So that's what they'll do. The question is, do they do it too little, too late, or do they do it too late and too much? I mean, that's for economists to argue. I'm just a lowly realtor, but what I think is happening is inflation starting to, come onto this downward trajectory, at least according to the articles that I read. And following that ultimately will be interest rates. Will interest rates be in the 2s again? I don't think so. I don't. I don't think they'll be in the 3s again. The people that I listen to think that they'll be in the 4s again, and they think that'll happen in a year and a half. So we'll see. And the reasons they think all of that is because of the rate by which they think that inflation is going to get mitigated, coupled with other economic variables. So anyway, I'll have that linked, and we'll certainly happy to talk about it with anybody that has questions. So okay, value. I wanted to put this graphic up, and I'll certainly have it attached, but let's see if I can hit minimize again. The Pareto principle, right? Most people know it as the 80-20 rule. And in general, that's, 80% of results come from 20% of efforts, or 80% of sales come from 20% of your customer base, whatever that is. I wanted to talk about that because in my business, or in the real estate and sales industry, it's always been that 20% of the industry does 80% of the business. I would argue that it's far more spread than that. I would argue, I don't know if it's 95-5, but I would say that it's closer to 95-5 than 80-20. A relatively small piece of the business does a relatively large portion of the overall transactions. Now that changes as markets change. And the reason for that, in our industry, it's really easy to get in and get out of this business. You can snooze your way through an online course, get your real estate license, and have a business card and be in business. Doesn't mean you know anything about the business you're now in, but you can be in business. And so when markets are what they just were the last couple of years, and really what they've been the last 10 years, people rush into this business because it's easy and I can make a lot of money and not have to work too hard. Historically, there's always been a lot of folks that have a real estate hobby and don't really rely on this to feed their household. Not a thing wrong with that, by the way, at all. But those folks make up a very small percentage of the sales collectively. Whereas, our industry has largely started moving in the last decade and a half towards teams. That's become kind of in vogue, but it's really beyond being in vogue. There's an efficiency to it. And there's a value proposition to it. And that's the reason that I bring it up. Somebody like me, who's been doing this a very long time, full time since day one, I'm pretty committed. And because I'm pretty committed, I'm committed to knowing the business. I'm committed to being competent. And I'm committed to caring about my clients. I choose to do business relationally. So I want to have a relationship with my client beyond a transaction. I want them to be advocates, which means I have to deliver such a good experience that they're willing to be an advocate. And that's the lens that a lot of us in this business that really do this full time. That's a lens that a lot of us look through when we're doing business. So what is a value proposition? What I'm doing right here every week. I try to provide in good information so people can make good decisions. On our team, we put together, client functions. A lot of them are just pure fun. They have nothing. Most of them are pure fun, nothing to do with real estate per se. This weekend we have our annual paint and paper recycling shredding event. It's fun, but people get to come bring some things, and it's just a way to say thanks. That's a value proposition. In the transaction, being willing to go to the mat for somebody, being willing to confront, being willing to have hard conversations, both with my clients and with the other agent when necessary, but going through the difficult things to get to the finish line for your clients. That's what providing value is in a transaction. So I would say that as this industry has gone on, less people are doing more of the business. And as this industry is developing more and more into teams, the value proposition changes. It becomes harder and harder for the individual agent to truly compete at any scale against a well-run team. So, I built a team years ago so that I could help more people at a deep level than I was capable of doing on my own, wearing all the hats. And so Like I said, we'll get into more of that, but I hope you find what I do to be of value. I hope sometime, if you haven't had a chance to interact with me professionally, that I get to help you. Or that you know somebody, a family member, whatever it is, a friend that needs my help, that I get to help. And you get to see firsthand what that is and what a good value proposition is. So anyway, as always, I'm here for you and yours. Like I always say, until the next time.